And we're live. Welcome to the Come Cook With Me show. My name is Laura Hall, and I want to thank you so much for joining in today. We've had an extraordinary evening trying to get this camera to work, so I just thank you so much for your patience. I know a few of you were sending me quick messages while I was just doing some final touches after I got the Mevo working, and you're like, did I miss the show? What happened? So thank you so much. I appreciate it. So if you are new to the community, I would love for you to say hello, who you are, and where you're from. We've been doing this show, well, it's going to be, well, close to 2 years soon. And our community is just so beautiful. What we love to do is just spread love. We cook with love. And we just, our community is just so special. So become part of it if you're brand new. Become part of it. Say hello, who you are, where you're from. If you would love to do something even better, hit that share button and say, just found somebody who we love to cook with. I welcome you into my home, and I have made some beautiful relationships throughout the last 18, 20 months. However, I need to count up how many months we've been doing it. Somebody who's been following me along from the get-go can probably tell me. But just thank you so much. And I want to also say a special thank you for everybody for understanding why we didn't do this show last week. We had it all prepared and ready to go, but some tragic things happened in our life, and so I appreciate you. I love you all who sent messages and just so much love, sent and shared so much love. So thank you so much. It meant the world to me. So let's get started. I'm wearing my favorite team. So it's a halftime chili that we're making today, and we're going to do it 2 different styles. So we're going to, traditionally we always use a fast pot, or Instant Pot is what you might have heard. I actually have the MEALTHY pot, and I have the Instant Pot, and we also have the slow cooker CrockPot back here. Now this has been cooking all afternoon. And let me tell you, it is divine. If you could smell the incredible layers of flavors going on in this house, it's just amazing. It's a family favorite recipe that I have created, and I'm sharing it with you today. So I know a lot of you are saying, where's the recipe, where's the recipe? Well, because I'm using a new camera, it's called a Mevo. I can't put the actual recipe into the post until we're done cooking. So don't worry. It'll actually be in this post, so when you hit the share button, it'll pop up. And if you want to wait to hit the share button, it'll pop up once you share. It'll always come back and pop up, so don't worry about that. But if you want to wait, that's fine too. So what we're going to do is get these pots going, because the MEALTHY Multipot is going to be the one with the beef, and so that's our family tradition. But I have so many clients, myself included, that are either vegan, vegetarian, and or half. Like they're spending a lot more plant-based in their diet, in their routine. And I'm a health and wellness coach, so I love creating recipes now that we have 2 different pots. We used to compare the pots, and we don't need to do that anymore. We just know that these fast pots are miracles in the kitchen, and so if you don't have one, you definitely want to get one. And those of you who are traditionalists who just absolutely love the slow cooker, my husband is one of them. He just wanted, like last week, since we had all the ingredients and my son had his friends were over, he's like, can you do it in the traditional way in the slow cooker? And so I brought out my great big slow cooker. We cooked it so everyone could enjoy it. So, everyone has their favorite. And I know that for me, if I were young and had a lot of things going on with a family, I think these fast pots, the Instant Pot or the MEALTHY, they are just so fantastic. They're so easy in the kitchen, and they really are a saver if you run out of something and you need to quickly put up a batch. So I know a lot of chefs that are out there that haven't used these yet, and it's so funny because I love talking to chefs just to see what they have in the gadgets they have in their kitchen. So that's a lot of fun. Let's get this program started. So you want to hit saute feature on your Instant Pot. Now, I've actually created this recipe so that you will have the slow cooker instructions, very similar, and I'm going to be cooking exactly the way I did in the MEALTHY pot that I did in the in the slow cooker, excuse me, just so that you can. We love to see which one wins. It's just still a theme that we do because, you know, when my kids were growing up and I was teaching, I used to go out for a morning run, and the gals that I used to run with, we would always talk about what are we making in our slow cooker, because we thought that was the greatest gadget ever. You could throw your stuff in and, you know, go to work. We would go to school and teach, and the kids would be at school. We come home, we do our homework, and voila, we had a beautiful meal ready to go. So, but what's really neat about this is that what might take 6 to 8 hours, maybe 10 to 12 hours, this could take 40 minutes in the fast pot. So that's what I love about these pressure cookers, and they're so safe now. So, at any rate, let's get started. You're going to hit the saute feature. So those of you who are cooking with me, you want to go ahead and hit that start button, and you want to hit, so I need to get that a little bit, get saute, saute, there we go, and I got to hit start on that one. All right, so we're going to hit the saute button on that, and I realized that I don't have my, because in this one I'm not going to be using the extra virgin olive oil or the avocado oil, but I'm going to need it for here because this is the vegetarian one. So those of you who are cooking vegetarian, hang on a second. Let me just grab that really quickly over here. I apologize. I thought, oh no, we have the meat. We don't have to worry about that. Okay, so these are starting to preheat. They're starting to get warm, which is fantastic. So in the vegetarian style, you're going to want to start off with an avocado oil. You can use really any oil that you really love. You can even start off with a vegetable broth. It will do the same thing. So if you want to limit those particular calories, but there's not a lot that we're going to be getting from the avocado oil because we're just going to be coating the bottom of it. You do not need to, if you're using the meat that I purchased, and we do a come shop with me. So I always program those on either Wednesday or Thursday so you know what the ingredients are for the show that we're going to be coming up. So always hit follow me first if you want to know what's going on. But you really don't need to have that for this particular pot because we're going to get a little bit of juices off of the meat. But just because I'm going to be consistent with what I did over in the slow cooker, I'm going to just so that it's apples to apples. We love to have apples to apples. And I love this chili because, gosh, when it gets cold outside, don't you just love, I mean, raise your hand, share some hearts. Don't you just love it when you have some really hearty soups or stews or tailgating, just having some wonderful half-ton chili. Now, my husband, he still eats hot dogs. I know, but he loves chili dogs, so go figure. I'm not throwing him under the bus. I kind of laugh at it all the time. All right, so these are getting nice and hot, and so we're going to talk about the ingredients that are going to go in. Garlic and our peppers. And in the vegetarian style, we're just going to skip that whole meat thing, and we're going to start with the onion and the flavors of the garlic and the peppers. So we're going to go ahead and get that started. Let me go ahead and put the meat in because it's going to take a little bit of time to brown. So what I did, I should talk about this meat because this is a really, for those of you who are not doing the vegan vegetarian style, this meat is fantastic. It's something that I have never done before. When you go to the butcher, you ask the butcher to go ahead and do a chili cut. And so if you take a look, I'm going to hold it up a little closer to the camera. Those are really thick, chunky pieces of meat. Wonderful. I mean, that's just incredible. I love that. I love that. So I'm just going to go ahead and start to get those in there. And I'm not going to use this entire allotment. I didn't know how much would go into this particular pot because it's a smaller pot. I think it's a bigger one. MEALTHY is coming up with during the holiday season. We're going to be coming up with a new pot that's a little bit bigger. So for those when I'm doing the meat option, which is what I usually do in the MEALTHY, I like to have a little bit bigger. But this is a great size. So in the vegetarian, we're going to go ahead and hit it up with our onions, our peppers, and I have 2 diced organic. Everything that I cook with, by the way, is organic. So we've got 2 diced onions, that's some of them. Put those down. And then in this bowl, I have the rest of the 2 diced because it didn't fit in that one. I have yellow, I have green, all organic, red, chopped bell peppers. Yummy. Just so beautiful. And the medley, I just love it when you have the tricolor medley of these peppers. So wonderful. All right, so I realize, because I am going to do one that's going to strictly be vegan, and I have some people who are wanting to have this chili because they are vegan, I need to get a different spoon so that we're not going to mix. There we go. Let me go ahead and stir that up a little bit. Beautiful. I just love how the tricolor of the white onion, the yellow, the red, the green all look together. They're just so wonderful. I'm going to go ahead in the vegan pot, I'm going to go ahead and add in the garlic. Now let's talk about this garlic. Everything I do is organic. I strive. Sometimes you're not going to be successful at always getting an organic, non-GMO. And we'll talk about that as we continue to cook. But what I've done with this particular garlic, and this is the garlic that comes out of the U.S. There's a lot of places, I know a lot of you are watching throughout the world. I know I have a lot of people that are even at military bases. So hello, I'm so glad that you've joined us. But what I love to do, organic is so great, but with our garlic, what I love to do is put it into the oven and do a little roasting on it. So I put a little extra virgin olive oil or avocado, this one is avocado oil, and I just let it get roasted. And so I've chopped these up. There's about 20 garlic cloves in this particular container. But roasting the garlic just takes on a whole new complexity in your cooking. It's just a beautiful way to release that tight bite of a garlic and just open up just the smoothness of the garlic. And it's so beautiful. I mean, it just adds just a whole nother layer. And when I cook, I love to cook in layers, and because the more layers that you add to the food you're cooking, it just is, people think, you know, it's just spectacular. So go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and stir this meat so it gets a little more brown before I add in some of these other ingredients. And the beef that I chose, I should talk a little bit about the beef if you're going to do a beef style. The beef is the better quality meat that you can get. And oh, by the way, if you're a Publix fan, this meat is on sale this week. It's like $2 off a pound. So it's a really good deal. So I was telling the butcher what I was doing, and he says, oh, I'm just going to follow that recipe. And he bought a whole bunch so that they can freeze it. So it's a really great recipe to do that. And this recipe freezes well. So it's the sirloin tip roast. And it's lower fat. And of course, you know, Publix always tells me this. And I'm sure any butcher will do this for you. But they try to keep their meats as lean as possible. But you can ask a butcher, if you don't have a Publix, you can ask a butcher that you go to, just to ask for what you want. And that's easy to do. Okay, so that is good. That is sauteing nicely. Beautiful. These are starting to get a little translucent. So I'm going to add a little bit more to this. I want to add in our jalapeno. What I've done is I have a serrano and I have a jalapeno pepper. So I'm going to add that into the vegan pot, and I'm going to add it in eventually there, but just not yet. So get those nice and sauteing nicely. Beautiful. Okay, so now I can add in the onions and the garlic over here. And honestly, if you wanted to, you could have added in the onions first and the garlic. It's really a choice, because what's going to happen is that these are going to so cook down when you actually turn on the pot. And again, this is 2 diced onions. And I love what the thicker cut does, and you'll see how it's cooking in in the slow cooker. It looks phenomenal. We don't need the rest of this meat. I'll go ahead and put that in the refrigerator in a baggie. And I'm going to go ahead and add in their garlic here into the pot with the meat. And while that's cooking, I'm going to talk a little bit about what I did. There was some pre-work that I did that, and of course you don't have to do the pre-work that I'm going to talk about, because you can always get canned beans at the grocery store. They're convenient. That's what, they're convenient. But they're also a little pricey. And so because I cook with organic spices, I cook with non-GMO products, no genetically modified products, and I do organics, those can tend to run, maybe $1 or $2 more. But I will tell you, Aldi has some really great deals. So if you have an Aldi near you, you definitely want to do that. I'm going to go ahead and put in the jalapeno in this one as well. But in a chili, beans are everything, right? I mean, you're using lots and lots and lots of beans. So what I love to do is to do everything from a dry bean. And there's so many ways that you can now get beans started either really quick, or you can do them in an overnight feature. So on the recipe that I've created, you'll see that there's actually, there's a way to do it really quick. Obviously, the quickest is to buy them in the can, which we'll talk about. Or you prepare them in a very quick way, or you can soak them for a 24-hour time frame. I'm going to go ahead and keep stirring. And that's what we did with these beans. You'll see on the stove, if you look to my right shoulder, on the stove over there, there are 2 pots. So one pot was for the black beans, and the other pot was for the 2 variety of red beans that I had. And I decided to go ahead and just get 1 can of the white kidney beans, just to show you the variety of flavors. Because I do love, this chili is just so much fun when you have a wide variety of beans. And those people who are total vegetarian vegans, the more variety, oh gosh, so much better. So let me show you what we did while those are sauteing and cooking down a little bit. So what we have is, I prepared these beans. I had them overnight soaking. But I also want to talk about, if you do an overnight soak, and let's just say you didn't get a full 24 hours in. I didn't have a full 24 hours in, because I didn't start these until yesterday evening. So what I did is, I let them soak overnight, then I added in some garlic cloves, and I added in some peppers, and I turned on the heat to let them boil. And then when they were done, I let it cool down, and then I drained them, and I put them into the bowl. That's simple. I mean, it's really that simple. So, like, I paid $3 for all of the beans, for all of these. I still have some beans left in the pots, but for all of the pots that we have going, it's like $3 for the beans. It's crazy. It's crazy how easy and simple that is. So a quicker way, maybe you want to just, if like, oh, you forgot to do all of that and you have no time. No, you don't even have 2 hours. If you have an hour, you can put the beans in your Instapot. And what I like to do with them is I like to cook them. If you're going to do them in the Instapot and you have a feature that says beans, don't use, because it's not, that feature is not as great a feature in your Instapot, even in the MEALTHY. You want to do at least 5 to 10 more minutes in the pressure. Because, so normally maybe that's a 30-minute, so you want to do 40 minutes because you really want those beans to plump up. So the other thing that I added in those pots, would be a vegetable broth, or you could use your bone broth. Either one, if you're going total vegan, obviously you're going to get a vegetable broth. And we'll talk about these broths in just a little bit. But that's how we did the beans, so simple. This pot is ready to go ahead and hit cancel. So it's translucent. All of these are cooked down well enough that I can start adding in my beans, which is exactly what I'm going to do next. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and, let's see, I think I'm going to add the diced tomatoes. And this is for that group. Okay, perfect. Actually, I'm going to do the diced tomatoes. So I have 3 different tomato type products. One are diced tomatoes, then I have some peeled like Italian Roma tomatoes, and then I have some crushed tomatoes as well. So because these pots are a little smaller, I'm going to go ahead and I know I want to have all of the diced, so I'm going to go ahead and do the diced first. And this is still doing a great job at sauteing. And it is just beautiful. And in the if you're just using the Instapot, so if you're my kids and you're watching this, and some people who just use, I'm going to hit cancel. If you're just doing your Instapot or MEALTHY pot or your fast pot, whichever pressure cooker you use, you don't have to saute if you have a high quality meat, because the juices that come out from this experience, they're so beautiful. They're not high fat content stuff. It's a low fat, if it's a low fat product that you're using, you don't even have to worry about that. Okay, so I'm going to throw in the diced tomatoes in there as well so that we're equal. I don't know about you, but in our family chili, well, me more than anybody in the family, I just love tomatoes in a chili. There's just something just so beautiful and savory for them. But my family, especially my husband, he's like, I prefer more beans. So everyone's a little bit different. And because I know how I made this one, that slow cooker in the back, I really did that one for his benefit. So it's just incredible. All right. That one I actually probably, as I'm looking at this, I probably have a little more meat than I actually want to have. But let's go ahead and do the vegetarian one. So we're going to go ahead and throw in these beans. So there's a mix. I just mixed the black beans, the light red, and the dark red all together. Just get some more of those black beans. They were more on the bottom. Fantastic. I may save the reserve of some of these to add a little bit more, because we still have a little bit of things to add to this. So let's talk about you know what we didn't add in this one. I was talking and I didn't add in our peppers. I talked about it, but I didn't actually do it. So we put those tricolor peppers in, which is beautiful. Okay, so I'll add in the beans over here. They're so beautiful. They're so plump. You know, the dried beans are just such a great way to go. They take a little bit more time, so if you don't have a lot of time, I totally understand. Okay, beautiful. This is really getting to the max, which is okay. I might need to take a little bit out. And I've got a bowl here that I can do that with. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and take some of that out. I should have done that with the meat. Just so that we have more for the tomatoes in this one. Go ahead and just grab from that bottom and grab some of that out. We want to definitely, good news is, once we do this, finish with the show, I can just add in these component pieces because I have another pot. Believe it or not, I can just do that. So easy. That is the beauty of these. Just look at how gorgeous that looks now that I'm mixing it all up. That's just perfect. I love that. Perfect. So, you know what we're going to do with this? We're going to make another chili out of that because I still have some of that ground beef. So this is just perfect. And I love how this vegetarian chili is starting to smell and look. All right, so the other product that we're going to add in are our white beans. And I want to talk about these white beans in particular. So let me go ahead and drain them, and if you use any canned beans whatsoever, it's so important to get the gases out of your beans. Now when you cook from dry, when you use dry beans, you don't have the release of the gases quite like they do with the liquid that kind of builds up in the can, the gas that builds up in the can. There's actually a fascinating article. If I remember to pull it and get it, I'll add it to the comment section. But take a look at what happens when you put water into a canned product like that. You see how it's foaming up like that? You want to rinse your beans. If you're using a canned product, you want to rinse your beans until that foam goes away. So it's a little tip that I learned, oh gosh, eons and eons ago. When I started making this chili when Brad and I first got married, it was, you know what happens when you leave the gas in beans. Things happen. So someone told me a really great trick is to rinse that liquid off of your beans if you're using canned products, and then it takes that gas away. It's just a fun fact. So you want to do that before you add them into anything. So I'll do that with the other can too. So we have some white beans in there. I don't know, raise your hand or do share some hearts if that's the first time that, and now I know if you're watching on the YouTube, you're not going to be able to do that, but you can always make a comment and say, yeah, no, I never knew that, or somebody taught me that years ago. Hopefully there's always something new that I'm able to teach you while you're cooking in my kitchen. And I'm so inspired, I should say, while I'm rinsing these, I'm so inspired by so many of you who are trying the recipes, sending me pictures of my recipes, sending me beautiful pictures and tagging me in your posts that you bought some spices way outside of your comfort zone because you're a health coach like me, but you're just catching up the storm of using your Instant Pot, or yeah, I guess some of you have an Instant Pot and some of you actually decided to go with the MEALTHY pot. So, and really either one you decide to go with, it doesn't matter. A lot of people, there's so many pressure cookers that are out there. It's just phenomenal. Okay, so the next tomato product that I'm going to add are the organic Italian peeled tomatoes. So I'm going to talk a little bit about them, but let me go ahead and add them in here. Beautiful. Okay, so these have some basil as well, but they're organic, they're USDA organic, plus I look for and this one was a hard one, okay, they're non-GMO. This was a hard label to find, so this brand should do a better job, but I always look for non-GMO and PBA-free can lining. Let me show you what that looks like in the other cans that we use. So normally you can see it in a very big, bold area. So what is BPA? Let's talk about it. If you're very first time watching me, you're going to say, hadn't heard about that before, but BPA is bisphenol A. And what they've done, manufacturers of food, they found for years and years and years that if they line the cans with this plastic, bisphenol A, that it would preserve and keep a longer shelf life of these products. However, it's a huge endocrine disruptor. And I really strive for cooking and teaching people how to eat as clean in their diet as they can. Really cooking from the earth if you can. And when you can't, try to get the products that are made safely. So a lot of times they'll make products in boxes. I love products in boxes. But I know that that's just not feasible for everywhere you go. So I want to do a mixture and show you a wide variety of ways that you can get the same kinds of things that we're doing and just have different options. So the can that I showed you that had the white beans in, let's go ahead and show that because I didn't show that when the Eden Organic, this is a white kidney bean. It has no salt added. So that's the other thing that I look for. But what I love about Eden Organics is that they are organic, they're non-GMO, and BPA-free lining. Love that. So GMO. GMOs are genetically modified foods. And I'm not going to debate the propaganda that can be, debates go on forever. But what I really like to do is that I know that our bee population is changing, and I know that that has a lot to do with a lot of the environmental issues. But when you change how products are growing and their dynamics of how they're growing, genetically modifying how they're growing, well, those things are going to wreak havoc in our bodies too. And we see this happening. Now, I know I can have conversations with lots of people that you know, you can get into all of it. I'm really not here for that purpose. What I really want to share with you is how you can eat the cleanest that you possibly can. So for me, in our family, non-genetically modified foods are really what we love. That's what I want to teach you to really strive for. And organic, trying to do as best organic as you can. And you know, from farm to table, that's even better. And I have a few friends who own farms that they just have such an opportunity at, you know, using this beautiful earth that has been given to us to create some beautiful, beautiful farm products. But this, my friends, this is as good as it's going to get here in this kitchen. Okay, so now it's time to add a few more ingredients that are not going to go into this chili with the meat, but we're going to get a little extra protein and some of the things that I love when you just add some complexities into the vegetarian style that we have going on here. And that is, I'm going to add in some lentils. And one of the favorite products that I love, and I love it for several reasons, but you'll always hear me talk about Bob's Red Mill. And I'm going to use Bob's Red Mill lentils. So I'm going to add a couple lentils in here. And now, the reason why I like Bob's is you really have to kind of Google his story. But he really went from, well, Google his story, because I do it a disservice. And I actually have somebody who lives and goes to Bob's Red Mill and takes cooking classes. And so we've been talking back and forth, and hopefully I'll get a connection at Bob's Red Mill. And maybe we'll go out and visit. We'll fly out to his place and visit. Because it's really one of the only things that after hearing his story and reading a little bit more about how their company came to being, I was just so impressed. And they're an employee-owned company now, and they've done things right, just from the get-go. Just how they pick their organics, how they get product. Beautiful story. Take a look at Bob's Red Mill. All right, and so the other thing I'm going to put in this vegetarian chili is quinoa. I love quinoa. It absorbs the flavors that you're cooking with. Quinoa is one of those just, those of you who are, and I do get the gluten-free brand. It's as gluten-free as you possibly can get, but there are some brands that are out there that really aren't, so be careful when you're actually purchasing them. Okay, so I'm going to give this a little bit of a stir. Don't really have to, but I'm doing a stir because I want to see how much room I have for my liquid. So this is one of those interesting touches that I do with my chili. So the only thing that is not added in, but I'm not going to add in a full can, and that is some crushed tomatoes. If you had the larger pot, you could actually add in the full can, but I'm not going to because I definitely want to add in some liquids. Now, this is Brad's jersey. I gotta be very careful. I hope I didn't spray. Oh, too fun. I just thought it was fun. Halftime chili wearing a jersey, a football jersey. All right, so I'm gonna use half of that. So, secret ingredient. Gives it just so much more layer upon layer flavors. Is a vegetable broth for the vegetarian. So you're not going to need to have this entire canister. In the recipe, again, I say get a 32 ounce. You're not going to use the full 32 ounces, but I'm going to fill it until I get to my fill liquid line, to my max line. And what I love about this, it's very close, okay, vegetable broth, is I love the Pacific brand. Now you can find any brand that appeals to you. But what I look for in any of the broths that I'll use is I look for low sodium, obviously I look for organic, and if I can find no GMO. The other thing is, you know, if you don't really remember, just look at the ingredients on the back. And if you see and compare if there's sugars, if there's added sodium, you just want to look for those things because you don't need to have those. We have such robust flavors in here already before we add any of the additional spices that you really don't need salt for anything because it's already going to have just so many complex flavors. So in the meat style, what we're going to do is I'm going to add a few more beans, but I'm going to use the bone broth. And the bone broth, again, adds some complexity. A lot of people use water when they're doing their chilies. I'm not a really big fan of using water because bone broth is really good for gut health, number one. And two, it just, again, layers upon layers of complexity in your cooking. So that's what I love about bone broth. So I'm going to add a few more of these beans that are sitting here, but I want to add some bone broth just to give some of that. There we go. Not a full can or container. All right, so let me add in some of these beans that didn't get added. Oh, you can see there's one of those peppers that I had in the pot behind me. Okay, now that'll be perfect. Okay, give it a quick stir. Doesn't that just look beautiful? And I love that we have this camera so you can see at the angles that we're looking at, because it really does change everything. When you can see the inside of the pot. I have to go on my tippy toes because this counter is a little high. So I'm going to add in just a little bit more. We're not quite at that fill rate. There we go. All right, now it's time for the spices and it's time to cook this chili. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the spices. Again, you know me, we do all organic. So let's go ahead and get started. So cumin, in my particular way, my family loves this recipe. We love cumin. Some of you may not like cumin as much. So in the recipe that you'll have that you can print out, one of the things is I don't put in as much, I don't put in the recipe as much that I'm going to put in this container, so don't be alarmed. But this is ground cumin, and again, it's organic, it's no GMO, I love it. It's, and I'll just show those labels there on the side so you can take a look. Yeah, all of my spaces are that way. So, and don't be alarmed, we're going to use the entire container in each one of these. And I know that's a lot for some of you, so don't worry. I have a recommended amount, and you can do what you love. But this is just one of those things that, one of those flavors that everyone has said, Laura, what is your secret when they've had this recipe? So I think Brad and I are going on 32 years. Did we just finish 32 years? Let's see. No, yeah, we just finished 32 years. So we're going on 33. So I've been cooking this recipe. I created this recipe that long ago. It's varied a little bit, but what hasn't ever varied is the spice ratio and how I've actually created. Now I've used better spices because it didn't, organics weren't really even that popular then. It just wasn't something that we worried about 30 some years ago. But people said, what is it that you're doing? There's these complexity of flavors. What is it? Well, I'm going to tell you, it was this, and it was our chili powder. So I'm going to add half of a container of this chili powder in each one. Actually, I'm going to maybe add more, but I'm going to, because I have ancho chili pepper, so I'm just going to see what it looks like. I really know what because I've cooked this for so long, I know what it's supposed to look like, and that's kind of why I stir it, because I look for what is it going to look like after it gets cooked. And so if I can add those spices all the way down, I'll know what color it is, and then I'll say, yep, that's exactly what it should be. But for those of you who are cooking for the first time and you need a recipe, well, you heard my discussion about what we love, so go somewhere in between or just follow the recipe that I actually have printed. You'll love it either way. It's just beautiful because we already have a lot of heat when we use the one serrano and one jalapeno pepper. But boy, it just smells heavenly. Okay, so we're going to add some coriander, and we're just going to do that for both of them. All right, and I'll show you I know people love to see, let me see it. So it's ground coriander. And now we're going to add in, I'm going to save that one. Okay, some ancho chili. gives it a little bit of the ancho chili. Gosh, how do I explain that flavor? That is a hard one to describe. It just isn't. It's a special pepper for chili. I use it a lot in my Mexican dishes, so I think you'll love it. Okay, so we're going to add some oregano. And I'm not going to add a lot of dry oregano because I actually have some fresh oregano that I'm going to add in. So now we're going to add in just those layers, some additional layers, sriracha, not a whole bunch. But that sriracha, it's just such a wonderful mixture of some just fun spice in there. And we're going to add some cayenne pepper, just a little. Because we have those fresh peppers, we don't really need a whole bunch of Cajun or cayenne. But again, we're just building layers when we add these in. Layers of flavor. And it'll make, and again, if you're not really into the peppers, the hot spice, or you don't want to have complex spice, just pick out the favorite ones that you love. I think in any chili, you can't go wrong with a cumin, a coriander, and an oregano if you wanted to keep it really basic. And some maybe hot Hungarian paprika, which is the last spice that we're going to add in, that's spicy. Okay, and then my all-time favorites that I like to add at the very end are a crushed red pepper and then a chipotle, which this is a little smokier. So I'm going to start with the chipotle. Actually, I'm going to use the rest of this one because we don't need a whole bunch. Beautiful. Oh gosh, this is so smoky. Smells so good. When you buy chipotle, crushed chipotle peppers, I should probably show that to you. When you buy those and start to cook with them, you're gonna love them. And then I have just traditional crushed red pepper. These are kind of the Italian red peppers that you put on a lot of pizza. I love to cook with those as well. Okay. And then I'm going to actually add in some fresh oregano. And so I'm going to show you a really quick trick how to get these pieces off. If you take the bottom of the stem and go reverse with your finger, whoops, top of the stem, and go reverse down with your finger, watch how it just slides right off of the stem. So easy. Who knew? Again, that's a tip that someone told me a long time ago. So I love doing that. It's just a lot of fun. But you just slide down your finger and those little leaves come right off. So you don't get the stem in there, because nobody wants a stem in their food. I'm just going to do one more on this side. Tip. There we go. Okay, that's good enough. So we did put some of the broth in. Okay, last ingredient. And I love this ingredient because it's a teammate of mine on my health and wellness team, and he created these spices. They're Dano spices. And what I recommend is if you have said hello, who you are, where you're from, you get a chance to win these spices actually. So I just do a random generator, and I have, for the last 2 weeks, I have those people who won the last 2 weeks, because I had forgotten to pick one from before. But these Dano spices are phenomenal. They're non-GMO, they're low sodium, there's no MSG, they're freshest ingredients, and he's on my health and wellness team, and they're Kentucky proud, and we lived in Kentucky. My kids are still in Kentucky. So, you know, I just love supporting people who are on my team, and they're really great spices. So people who have won, that have been on the show following, please share with everyone how you just love these Dano spices. Every vegetable that goes on my grill, these have them on. And the green top those are a little more savory, and the red top is a little more spicy. But he adds in some really complex flavors into his spices. So all I have to say is that you will love them if you give them a try. All right, so we're ready to actually get these started. And I'm going to just set those to the side, and I'm going to show you I'm going to hit the start button. We're going to be cooking these chilies. We're just going to hit the chili recipe because they're already done. But if you don't want to do that, you can do a 35-minute, hit 35 minutes on manual, on high, on your pressure, and then do a quick release, wait 10 minutes and then do a quick release. And that's what I have identified in the recipe. So make sure when you put your top on that your lid is secure, that top is secured down, and then you turn it all the way to the left so that it's not vented, and lock it in place. You grab the MEALTHY pot. MEALTHY pot is very similar, same sounds, but you want to make sure that it's also to the left so it's not vented. And then you'll hit your either manual and you'll hit your setting. So before I go ahead and do that, I'm going to share with you, and we're going to do the drawing, but I'm going to share with you who the winners were of the Dano Spices. So if you have said hello, who you are, and where you're from, you get entered to win next week when we do the drawing. We just do a random generator because there's a ton of comments, so I just do whatever that number is and I count down to the comments. So 2 weeks ago, Tanya Revere, who's actually going to come and do a broadcast here. She's one of those private people who doesn't talk about her desire to cook so much, but she just let that cat out of the bag not too long ago. So I think it's okay that I just shared that. But Tanya, you won the spices, so congratulations. I'm really excited. I think I'm going to make you come here and get them. maybe that's what I'm going to need to do. And then we'll plan our cooking show together that we'll cook together on. And I'd love to have guests. So anybody who wants to come and visit me in Daphne, or if you are watching from Daphne and you would love to come in and share some of your tips and tricks, I would love that. I love nothing better than to have guest appearances. And then the recent winner for the spices, Dawn Rainey. So Dawn, now I'm going to have to mail these to you because, or when we come to St. Augustine, maybe I'll just bring them with because we're back and forth all the time. All right, so now it's time, whoever wins the MEALTHY pot. My friends at MEALTHY are just so phenomenal. They caught one of my shows, gosh now, I'm thinking it had to be at least 3 or 4 months ago. And they said, would you like to try out one of our pots? And I said, sure. How do I get it? And they just sent it to me. They said, what's your address? And they sent me it. And so this is the pot that they had sent me, and it was just so gracious and generous. And then we started cooking with it and doing side by side just to see how it would cook and compare. What I love about the MEALTHY is, well, lots of things I love about both of these pots. But what I love about what they do in their package and their design, so if you go to mealthy.com, and I'll put it in the comments, they have a lot of features in their box that they actually add components that aren't included, that you normally have to go out and buy them elsewhere. So I really love that. So when you get a MEALTHY, and then they said, Laura, would you like to get a discount? And because they saw that I was giving Instapot away, and Instapot never said, hey, you want a discount? I just gave them away at full price. And so they give us a little bit of a discount. So it makes it a little easier on my budget. Thank you, MEALTHY. I appreciate that. So that's what we do now. We're giving one away each week. And so good luck. If you hit that share button and of this show, you get entered to win. You will be on a sticky note. So these are all the people who did the share button for the last show that we did. So I'm going to go ahead, close my eyes, put it behind me. Oh, and speaking of which, behind me, I need to show those people who are slow cooker and CrockPot users. I need to show you what it looks like in that pot. All right, let's. I'm so excited. Okay, I'm digging down. I'm mixing them up. Okay, ready? I'm digging in. I've got the winner in my hand. Okay. Good luck, whoever it is. Okay, let's see. Oh my God. Okay. This family, you're not going to believe this. Okay, so Tim, Debbie, and Tim. This is Tim's, actually his share. Tim Eisenchuck, you won. So, now they have won before, and I'm going to let them decide. Tim, send me a message. I don't know. You guys have to send me a message. If you want to use this as a Christmas gift for somebody, that's your beautiful choice. And if you want me to pick another name, I'll put that in the comments. But congratulations. Gosh, you guys are really lucky. So excited for you. So you would get the Mealthy pot. All right, so let's show you what this looks like. So people who are in the slow cooker, people who do the CrockPot and the slow cooker, you want to see what this beautiful gem looks like. Oh, gosh, it's really, really full. So let me just, oh, it looks so, so beautiful. And it smells heavenly. So when that meat cooks down, because you get the chili cut, it's, I'm going to just lift this up and pull it over there. Okay. So you can actually see it. So gorgeous, and it smells heavenly. Get the spoon, and I'll show you when you look at the chunks. Look at the chunks of meat that are in that. So those of you who are doing the meat style chili, I think that you'll love that about it. So, and that's it. That's what it looks like. All right, let me put that back over to the side before we have an accident on Brad's jersey. There we go. All right, one final thing that I want to share with you. Some people always say, well, how do you put the garlic in the oven? I just put it in the cloves just like that. I had a few remaining just to show you, and the avocado oil is below. Okay, and finally, I love to do something that, this was a recommendation by a couple of people, actually on my health and wellness team, and they said, why don't you give a tip of the week? And I thought, you know what? That's a really smart idea. So I'm going to end the show with a tip of the week. And celebrate a teammate of mine. So I'm going to celebrate the teammate first, and then I'm going to talk about the tip of the week. So the person who I want to celebrate today is Janice Bush. She, if you're on Facebook, just type in Janice Bush, and I'll tag her in the post in the comment section. But she was so bold and brave, and she shared her before and after pictures just for her first 16-week challenge. And I'm so uber proud of her. And I think what I want to do is start to really do some high fives of people, not just people who are on my team, but people who are doing some extraordinary things. So with your permission, I'll contact you ahead of time, and I'll do a super uber shout out. But Janice, actually, after I saw her post yesterday, it brought me to tears, because I've known this woman, we're the same age. I've known this woman since we were little kids in grade school. That's how long I've known her. And just this year, she took a chance, and she says, you know, what if I could be one of those people that you're always talking about, Laura? And so she gave it a chance, and she was bold, courageous, and beautiful, and posted her before and after in her first challenge, and I'm just shouting out again to her. So Janice, I'm so uber proud of you. I hope you're watching. And then my health tip of the week. This comes to all of you who are watching, because as I'm talking to people who I coach, and as I'm talking to people who are getting interested in getting started in my health, in my health and nutrition, I ask them, what are they drinking? And a lot of times people are not drinking the quintessential thing that is required in our body. And if they do drink this, which is water, I just have this particular brand. I use this brand. I also have a Brita system that I use in my home. We have too much chlorination in our water here in Daphne, so always get your water checked. But half of your body weight in ounces of water is just the bare minimum of what your body requires. So if you're doing nothing all day, your body that's what it requires. So do the math. What's half your body weight in ounces of water? You've got to drink the water, people. Now, I actually love this size. I get this size at Sam's because they're 50 ounces of water in each one of these. I love it because it's like, oh, that's real simple. And I work out a lot, so I actually go through 3 of these in a day that I just drink straight water. And I love to add some fresh herbs. I love adding lemon. There's so many health benefits of adding lemon to your water. So it's just something that, it's a health tip. That's my health tip for the day. And I want to thank everybody for being a part of the show today. Thank you for your grace and for your love and your support for last week. I'm actually really proud that I got through the show. My heart, love all of you for all of your beautiful comments that you shared with me. And we will see you next week with a new show, new things going on. This is the last week of chili, I think, and I believe what we're planning on next week is a repeat of something that we did about, I think it was July last year, so 2017 in July. And the reason why I want to repeat the show is two reasons. The way that I taped the show years ago just didn't give the full list of the recipe and the ingredients, but we've done such an extraordinarily better job with just even having this camera. So we're going to repeat our savory, mouth-watering meatballs. Okay, so I'm just getting those plans put together. So I might decide to do the sauce first and then the meatballs. So it's coming up. So November, we're getting ready and preparing things for holidays. So expect to see some holiday recipes. If you have a favorite and you'd like to say, hey Laura, come up and create something that focuses on doing this, and I'll be happy to take that challenge on. So have a wonderful weekend. Be safe and be happy, and just share the love with everyone that you run into. Love on your family, love on those animals, and I'll see you next week.